Part 63. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 622. With a boom, Yan Guanghe's brain went down. And the person in front of him was no longer a little boy, but an adult woman in black and a mask. What, want to replace my brother? I fucking looked at him with a light expression. I asked him to come from Liberty Island, not to let him be wronged. If you want to enter the inner courtyard, why don't you rely on your own strength to enter? Hearing this sentence, Yan Guanghe's lips trembled fiercely, and his face became even more bleak. You. His thoughts were completely unable to function, and his mind went blank. Nian Yan has a sister of a 6-star player? Then what is he doing in the inner courtyard? With such a background, it is obvious that he can be directly recommended to the inner courtyard. But the Yan family has already checked Nian Yan's information, and the Yan family's strength is really good, but no one has entered the inner courtyard for so many years. Without entering the inner courtyard, it is impossible to have a 6-star account. What exactly is going on? I've sent you up, I want to go down by myself. I fucking looked lazy. I'm not a student in the inner courtyard, but you can experience the assessment in the inner courtyard. Aren't you very happy? Yan Guanghe's calf trembled. I didn't. Oh, yes, the Yan family may be gone. I fucking smiled slightly. I wish you good luck. She let go of her hand. Yan Guanghe fell in response, and instantly fell into the turbulent water. What? The screams shattered the sky, and Yan Guanghe screamed and woke up suddenly from the game cabin. He didn't even hold on for 30 seconds, he died in the game, or suffocated to death. At this moment, Yan Guanghe is very glad that he did not enter the inner courtyard. But when he found out that he could no longer log into the game, his face was ashen, and all his strength seemed to be drained. It's over, it's over. When Yan Guanghe was in a panic, the bedroom door was suddenly kicked open. Before he could react, he was held down by a few young people. The Yan family and Yan Yunping were also brought under control. The young man clapped his hands. Okay, close the team and send it to T18. He was also a little puzzled. In the past, they cooperated more with Zero. Why did the Lord suddenly choose T18 this time? However, there is no difference between Zero and T18. Many people are speculating that the two will merge sooner or later. The Yan family was completely seized, and all assets were sold. Mom, Nian Yan, Yan Guanghe looked stiff and his voice trembled. His sister is a 6-star player, haven't you found out? Yan Yunping was stunned and murmured, 6-star player? No, how could? Until now, she finally realized that the person who Oshiyun picked at random was someone the 10 Yan families couldn't afford to offend. And the Yan family ruined their entire future just because of temporary greed. Yan Yunping had no more thoughts, only the overwhelming remorse drowned all the thoughts in her heart. The same moment. On the other side of the ocean, the Great Xia Empire. I fucking got up from the game cabin, walked to the window, and looked up at the sky. It was late at night, and the sky was full of stars. She looked at the brightest star, and the appearance of Yuan Chai floated in front of her eyes. Sister, I can already protect others. I fucking said softly, don't worry, I will take good care of myself. She sat quietly by the window for a while and took out her phone. 2 minutes ago, Yu Ziyan sent the word good night. His heart was slightly hot, as if feathers were moving back and forth on the top of his heart. There was an indescribable joy. It was also the first time that her emotions could be driven by just a few words of a person. This is different from other emotions. She knows it's called liking. I fucking touched her chin. She had finished studying all the Love Heart Sutra. As a science and engineering background, she made a perfect and well thought out plan. When Yu Ziyan comes back, she will try it. She also replied good night, and then lay back in the game cabin. The Lord of Ghost Valley helped her. As a good apprentice, she should honor his old man well. At this time, the Eternal Continent. Demon Abyss. The Lord of Demon Abyss returned to his residence beaming. After seeing Uzion, he was in a better mood. Teacher, what you asked to do for the teacher has been done for the teacher, and you have made a small profit. Uzion raised her eyes. Thank you, Master. Small things, he, Gigo is too upright. I finally played a fool and deliberately lost to him. Lord Moiwan snorted. You didn't see his face, it's all green. Uzion lowered his head and stroked the strings with his slender fingers. He said softly, I also told you that the bet between the two of you has nothing to do with me. You have a girl you love, so naturally you won't talk about marriage as a teacher. Lord Moiwan stroked his beard and smiled, but you have to fight with the apprentices of Gigo to prove that the apprentices you teach are the best. Strong. Uzion frowned and said slowly, okay. He hadn't met an evenly matched opponent for a long time, and he wanted to see the abilities of the disciple of the Lord of Ghost Valley. Okay, let's go now. The Lord of Moiwan was beaming. Gigo and I are both old, and sooner or later we will go into seclusion, and the task of fighting in the future will be handed over to you. You must win the other party, and you must not lose me. Moun's face. On the other side, Ghost Valley. The Lord of Ghost Valley threw several wine jars in a fit of rage. Master, where have you been? Si fucking raised his eyebrows. Your expression is like eating 100 dead flies. Who else could let her eccentric master be deflated? The master of the Ghost Valley slapped the table angrily and said angrily, it's all that old ghost from Moiwan, who used the trick to provoke me into a fight with him. We were originally tied, but this old ghost deliberately lost to me at the last moment. Unlucky. He has fought with the Lord of Moiwan for thousands of years, and he has never been so aggrieved. Si fucking squinted his fox eyes. Master is so angry, did you make a bet? The master of the Ghost Valley was even more angry. This old ghost just likes you. Whoever loses will take his apprentice to the other side's territory. I am on guard, but I still can't guard against it. Si fucking snorted. Then in order to prevent me from being abducted, I will leave first, and I will not come to see you anytime soon. The Lord of Ghost Valley has not spoken yet, when a black cloud suddenly spreads up from the horizon. He stood up abruptly, his voice squeezed out of his teeth, old ghost. You really don't want to waste a little time? Si fucking narrowed his eyes. Is the Lord of Demon Abyss coming? Ghost Valley, sure enough, the next second, the voice of the Lord Moiwan came from Taniguchi, I brought my apprentice to see you, let your apprentice come out. If you don't get married, you have to fight. Let's see which one of the disciples we have cultivated is stronger, hurry up and hurry up. The Lord of Ghost Valley really couldn't stand it, he said violently, this old man's apprentice is the strongest, let's compare, who is afraid of who? Hearing this sentence, Si fucking's eyelids jumped, and he said euphemistically, Master, my cultivation base. After all, she died once, and the holographic game is a spiritual link through brain waves. Her cultivation here has not recovered yet. She didn't know who the apprentice of Lord Moiwan was. But it would not be a simple character to be able to handle the NPC Lord Moiwan, who is as difficult as her master. Don't be afraid, there is a master to support you. The Lord of Ghost Valley sneered, go, good disciple, it's time to test your latest achievements. Poison has to poison the other party too. Si fucking. She was just a weak, poor, and innocent passerby. The Lord of Ghost Valley walked in front with a cold face. Si fucking could only keep up. The appearance of the Lord of Demon Abyss made all creatures within 100 miles escape quickly. The master of the Ghost Valley came out angrily, old ghost, you like to live in a dark place, don't make me look like this. Hey, these are all trivial matters. The Lord of Demon Abyss was in a good mood, let me introduce you, this is my apprentice, How is it? Looks good. The Lord of Ghost Valley glanced. When he saw Uzion's appearance, he couldn't speak ugliness with his conscience, he just snorted coldly, so. What is so? Lord Moiwan has sharp eyes, is this little girl your apprentice? What are you hiding? Si fucking blankly covered his face with his hat, and even moved a tree to block his face. What does the grudges of the older generation have to do with her? Gigo, you lose and lose. Lord Moiwan suddenly laughed. In terms of appearance, your apprentice has already lost, otherwise why don't you dare to see people? You, the owner of Ghost Valley snorted coldly and pulled Si fucking over. Good boy, there's no one else here, don't block your face, this old ghost will be scared to death. His Majesty. Lord of Demon Abyss? Asterisk. It's very clearly written, Eternal has 3 brainwave link modes, normal, sleep and abyss. The abyss mode is really dead, and the other 2 will become a vegetative state according to the degree of trauma at the time of death, or the account will be permanently banned. The lightest is temporarily unable to log in. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 623. Si Fu Qingsheng was pulled forward helplessly, and her hat was also taken off by the Lord of Ghost Valley. After a player logs into Eternal, his initial appearance is no different from his own. But 6-star players can change their appearance at will. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, Si fucking never showed her true face to others. It was rare for her to take off her disguise today, just to make the Lord of the Ghost Valley happy, who knew she would encounter such a thing. Si fucking raised her head reluctantly. The girl's face was completely exposed in the air. She has deep eyebrows, is breathtakingly beautiful, and is full of aggression. This is a kind of beauty that does not belong to the mortal world, as if a light illuminates the entire world. There was silence. Lord Moiwan's eyes widened. I don't believe it, this face must be fake. Why are you lying? Don't deny it just because you lost. The Lord of Ghost Valley snorted coldly. Old ghost, let me tell you, my apprentice is always the best looking. In his eyes, Si fucking had reshaped his physical body. Fortunately, he didn't make a 6-year-old girl look like him, otherwise he wouldn't be able to help but beat this traitor out. After finally raising him, it would be tiring to raise him again. Lord Moiwan could not refute, and even liked Si fucking more and more the more he looked at him. After a few seconds, he realized that he was distracted, and immediately patted Uzion on the shoulder. Disciple, even if you are good looking, you must not be soft-hearted. The word love the fragrance and cherish the jade does not exist in our dictionary, Lord Moiwan said firmly. Don't look at her beauty, she must also have the true inheritance of Gigo. Her poison skills are superb, if you don't be careful, you will definitely be poisoned by her. As a teacher, I was accidentally tricked by Goigu a few times. Please be careful in the next battle. Okay, let's go. After Lord Moiwan finished his instructions, he saw the tall man standing there and not moving. He felt very strange in his heart and urged again, disciple, come on. Uzion still didn't move. He just looked at Si fucking, his eyes darkening little by little, until the depths were invisible, leaving only a thick ink that could not be dissolved. Old ghost, your disciple is not afraid, right? The Lord of Ghost Valley said calmly. It would be better to admit defeat directly than to lose in an ugly way. This time it was Lord Moiwan's turn to jump. Nonsense. Si fucking's eyes were dark and she suddenly smiled. What a coincidence, you are Lord Moiwan's disciple. Uzion heard the gritted teeth in her words. For the first time, he began to think silently about how to answer this question. The Lord of Ghost Valley paused. Do you know each other? Uzion smiled lightly. I know you. Si fucking said coldly and ruthlessly, I don't know him. Lord of Demonic Abyss. He suddenly looked at his apprentice, and when he saw Uzion's eyes looking at Si fucking, he understood something in an instant. For the first time, Lord Moiwan felt what it means to be struck by 5 thunders. The girl his apprentice loves is the apprentice of Guigu. Master, I have something to talk to this young master. Si stepped forward calmly. You also want to catch up with the senior Lord Moiwan. Wait, disciple, he won't dash. Before the Lord of Ghost Valley could finish his words, he watched Uzian being dragged away by Si in an obedient manner. He swallowed back the last 4 words, listen to your words, and fell into a dazed silence. On the side, Lord Demon Abyss was dumbfounded. Here, Si pulled Uzian all the way into the valley entrance and arrived at the lake in the center of the Ghost Valley. This is also Uzian's first time entering Ghost Valley. He glanced around. It is a beautiful place with beautiful mountains and clear waters, singing birds, and fragrant flowers. Si suddenly squatted down, pulled out the flowers raised by the Lord of Ghost Valley, and threw them at the man. It's all your fault. Si looked at him. You must have told your master something to make him bring you here so eagerly. Because if you refuse, he will definitely not come over. Uzian lowered his head, sighed, and resigned himself to his fate. Yes. He really wanted to fight against the apprentice of the Lord of Ghost Valley to test the opponent's fighting power, in order to motivate himself. People have to have opponents. Be prepared for danger in times of peace. Otherwise, you will die in peace sooner or later. But Uzian never expected that the mysterious disciple of the Lord of Ghost Valley would be by his side. Scored twice. His Majesty Emperor Yin never thought that he would fail twice in this kind of thing. Si foxy eyes narrowed, full of danger. What did you say to your master? She thought about his sneak attack on her in Oracle again. Uzian thought for a moment and smiled slightly. I have admired the Lord of the Ghost Valley for a long time, but I know that I am no match for my senior, so I can only fight against his apprentice, who must also be the best among men. His gentle brows and eyes, reflected in the spring breeze and green water, formed a landscape of their own. Si paused for a moment and admitted that she was a face controller. Looking at his face, it's easy to get angry. She turned her head and threw another piece of grass at him. I don't believe it. Then what should I do? He asked in a low voice with a bit of a smile. Girl, please teach me. It was still a cold voice, and the tone was neither gentle nor serious, as calm as usual. But it seems like there are notes that keep jumping on the top of my heart, easily touching the deepest part. In just a few seconds, my heart beat repeatedly. The black-hearted monster launched another vocal attack on her. Damn it. Si's fist hardened. Seeing that she was silent, Uzian sighed again. It's my fault. I should have thought of it earlier. Among the top 10 vicious NPCs, the Lord of Ghost Valley has the best poison skills. If you know how to poison, you must know how to heal. Only the Lord of Ghost Valley can teach such a miracle doctor as the Ghost Hand Heavenly Doctor. Si made a small noise. I'm not angry with you. The moment she saw him, her mind was indeed empty for a moment. This world is too small. Si thought for a while, took out 2 jars of wine from his luggage and threw them over. Uzian caught it steadily. What is this? Go and share the wine made by my master with your brothers. Si pushed him. Go out and leave me alone. Outside the valley, the Lord of Demon Abyss and the Lord of Ghost Valley stared at each other, both as quiet as chickens. They had never imagined such a scene. Finally, it was the Lord of Ghost Valley who broke the silence. His voice was sinister. What is the relationship between your apprentice and my good disciple? Lord Moiwan rolled his eyes and smiled. Don't you understand this? Your apprentice will marry my apprentice sooner or later. Gigo, we are going to get married. As if his foot was stepped on, the Lord of Ghost Valley jumped up. You are dreaming. I tell you this is impossible. It's not for us to interfere in the affairs between the younger generations. Lord Moiwan said slowly. Children and grandchildren will have their own blessings, so don't beat up the Mandarin ducks. He was in a good mood and saw Uzian walking out of the valley. Lord Moiwan immediately stepped forward. Disciple, how is the development? Has the time of marriage been decided? My master has planned an auspicious time for you, and the betrothal gifts have been prepared. We are just waiting for this day. Uzian snorted and said calmly, I was kicked out. Lord of Demonic Abyss. The Lord of the Ghost Valley suddenly laughed. Old ghost, you are the one who really lost. I didn't beat you, but my apprentice did. He hummed a little tune and returned to the valley with his hands behind his back. Before leaving, he glanced at Uzian one more time and snorted, thinking that this kid was on the right track. He looks good, has good strength, and goes well with his obedient disciple. At least in the past few hundred years, he has not seen a second young talent more outstanding than Uzian. The Lord of the Ghost Valley returned to his residence Chiron. Sci-fi is catching fish. Disciple, do you like him? The Lord of Ghost Valley waved his hand. If you really like me, master, I will help you tie him up, throw him on the bed or somewhere else, you have the final say. Sci-fi choked and almost fell over. Master, can you not be so violent? Where is the violence? The Lord of Ghost Valley disagreed. Why talk when you can do something? Sci-fi. This is the truth. She began to ponder the feasibility of this approach. In the past few days, Sci-fi has officially returned to the light crew to continue filming movies. In 2 weeks, The Princess of the Country has aired 8 episodes, and its ratings and popularity have only increased. There has never been such a high level of discussion for a second drama, and it is an unprecedented and phenomenal hit drama. Sci-fi found that the anti-reconnaissance methods she had learned could hardly evade fans. Seeing that she was working very hard, Chu Lingyun reluctantly gave her a day off and asked her to go home and rest. At this time, the Yin family. The atmosphere was very tense, and all members of the direct family rushed to the hall. The guards helped each other and walked in. Before taking a few steps, they all fell to the ground and passed out. What's going on? Tai's Hang elder Yin Pingshen's expression changed. Poisoned. The second team ran into a revenge organization when they were out on an operation. The guard chief looked anxious. They were vicious in their methods, and they accidentally fell into the trap. Although the poison is not fatal, it is very torturous. Yin Pingshen made a quick decision and said immediately, Yun 11, come and treat them quickly. Fortunately, with Yin Yongzi here, they all had an extra life. No wonder the revenge organization has always wanted to kill Yin Yongzi. Yin Yongzi nodded. She took 2 steps forward and squatted down. There were footsteps outside the door, and Sci-fi accompanied Yin Yaonian back. Yin Yongzi's eyes flashed slightly. She retracted her hand and smiled. The Supreme Elder, Fu Qing, is also good at healing, why not let her try it? Yin Pingsheng frowned. What? Hearing these words, everyone turned towards Sci-fi, with a bit of surprise and uncertainty in their eyes. Sci-fi actually knows how to heal? It's true. I saw with my own eyes that Fu Qing's medical skills even alerted the escort team of the Holy Light Judgment Office. Yin Yongzi said, I think since she knows how to heal, she will definitely be able to detoxify. Yin Pingsheng frowned even more. Detoxification and medical skills are different, Yun 11, not everyone can compare with you. Yin Yongzi said oh, smiled and stopped talking. She was about to treat the guard when Sci-fi stepped forward unhurriedly. Detoxification, right? Let me try it. Don't panic, we still have to score 3 times. Please vote for Ching Ching and Your Majesty. The new Xiao and Xiang tickets are monthly tickets. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 624. Poison and medicine are indeed not the same concept. Being knowledgeable about medicine does not mean that you are also knowledgeable about poisons. Among medicine and poison, the Lord of Ghost Valley really prefers the latter. The Lord of Ghost Valley likes to make drugs, and she had been poisoned many times during the 3 years she worked for him. After successfully becoming a disciple, the Lord of Ghost Valley naturally taught her all the skills without reservation. It's just that because there are not as many medicinal materials in the real world as there are in the Eternal Continent, Sci-Fi has always found it troublesome to make poisons and has never used them. Yin Yongzi paused and seemed a little surprised. Are you really going to try? You want me to try it, don't you? Sci-Fi raised an eyebrow. Isn't this just to please you? Stop pretending, it's really ugly when you smile. Yin Yongzi's smile froze, anger boiling in his chest. But there was a good-natured smile on her face, and she took a few steps back. Okay, please. No, Yin Pingsheng said flatly, these guards are the elites of my Yin family, not ordinary guards. What if you can't save your life? Sci-Fi squatted down and said slowly, if I can't be saved, my uncle, brother and I will leave the Yin family voluntarily. How about that? Yin Pingsheng choked. Let Yin Yaonian and Nian Yin withdraw from the Yin family. This is absolutely not okay. Yin Pingsheng was speechless and could only watch the girl begin to detoxify several guards. Her hands were steady, her brows were calm, and her breathing was gentle from beginning to end. Only Yin Yongzi in the Yin family knows how to heal. The others can't understand Sci-Fi's operation and can only ask Yin Yongzi questions. Sister Yun 11, is her method right? Do you also detoxify like this? Her hands are so fast. Wow, she uses silver needles. Yin Yongzi shook her head, that's not how I interpret it, and I can't understand what she is doing. As soon as these words came out, everyone couldn't help but change their expressions. In the world of evolutionaries, except for a few lunatics doing experiments in the Evolutionary Alliance laboratory, Yin Yongzi's medical skills are the most superb. Sci-Fi's detoxification method is completely different from hers. Can this be cured? Some people couldn't help but say, otherwise, let's let Sister Yongzi do it. She has experience. Sister fucking, you can first see how Sister Yongzi detoxifies, and then learn from her. Sci-Fi had just finished the last injection. When she heard these words, her fox eyes curled up. What did you say? Who should she learn from? The man shrank and didn't speak again. Okay, Sci-Fi wiped his hands and stood up. The poison is nothing. I still have something to do. You can save the rest by yourselves. Uncle, let's go see Grandma. Yin Yaonian glanced around with his cold eyes, but no one dared to move. Yin Yongzi paused and said with a smile, Fu Qing, if you don't know how to detoxify, you can tell me earlier. There is no need to delay, the guards dash. Her voice suddenly stopped, and the rest of her words were suddenly cut off. Because the bruises on the guard who received treatment disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye, and his complexion gradually returned to normal. Within a few seconds, he had opened his eyes and stood up holding onto the table. Yin Yongzi suddenly opened her eyes in disbelief. For the evolved, the Revenge Organization has researched a lot of specific poisons that will not harm ordinary people and will only invade the evolved. This makes the Evolved Alliance very troublesome. The laboratory has also been studying the poison produced by the Revenge Organization. How could Sci-Fi be freed in such a short period of time? Yin Pingshen's pupils also shrank violently. He turned his head suddenly, but Sci-Fi had already entered with Yin Yaonian. He smiled happily, very good, very good. The descendants of my Yin family are all young and promising. Although Sci-Fi does not have the blood of an evolver, she can be trained by the Yin family because of her ability to detoxify the Revenge Organization. Yun 11, rescue the remaining guards, Yin Pingsheng ordered. I will prepare some resources. Whatever grievances you had in the past can be put aside now. Yin Yongzi always knew that Yin Pingsheng focused on interests, but she didn't expect that Yin Pingsheng would ask her to take a step back so soon. She clenched her fists and smiled very reluctantly, "Yes, Supreme Elder." She walked over to the remaining guards and began to treat them. Si fucking could do it, and so could she. Mrs. Yin's residence. When she learned that Nian Yin had entered the inner courtyard with first place, Madame Yin was filled with joy. "Okay, Yin is really awesome, Ching Ching, aren't you going to Eternal Academy?" "I don't want to go at the moment," Si fucking said lazily, "let my brother experience the pain of the inner courtyard first." Yin Yaonian agreed with this. He nodded and said, "Yin needs more experience and experience. Ching Ching, you have demonstrated your medical skills and you are number 1 in the international joint examination. You must be careful." "I know." Si fucking nodded. "Uncle, do you have any weapons you want? I can go to Eternal Continent to help you find them." Yin Yaonian was stunned for a moment and then laughed. "Uncle, I don't need anything. If you can find weapons, you can use them yourself." He knows how valuable the weapons of Eternal Continent are. The Tian Kongyun sword in Kukaki Minjiao's hand made her enter the top 10 on the Eternal list. The family was chatting and laughing, and suddenly there was a rapid knock on the door. Yin Yaonian frowned. "Come in." "Miss fucking, something is not right." The housekeeper ran in a panic. After Miss Yongzi detoxified the poison, the situation of the other guards became even worse. "The Supreme Elder asked you to go there." "What are you asking for?" Yin Yaonian slammed the cup on the table. "Weren't you disgusted just now? Isn't Yin Yongzi the best in medical skills? Didn't he let Ching Ching learn from her? Why can't she be saved?" "Uncle, the housekeeper is just here to convey a message." Si fucking stood up. "Don't worry, I'll go with you." The housekeeper looked at her with great gratitude. "Thank you, Miss Fu Cheng." He didn't have much contact with Si fucking, but he had already been leaning towards her a few times. Yin Yongzi seems to be friendly, but in fact he is aloof. In the hall, Yin Yongzi stood aside helplessly, with tears on his face. It was obvious that he had cried not long ago. Yin Pingsheng was scolding her. "What's wrong with you? Isn't this easy for you?" "Sir, Yin Yongzi panicked. I don't know." "Okay, get out of the way." Yin Pingsheng didn't want to hear her explanation, so he waved his hand. "Let Fu Qing handle it." Hearing these words, Yin Yongzi's heart couldn't help but twitch, but he could only retreat. Si fucking's movements were still very fast, and within a few minutes, the remaining guards were all awake. The guards were still frightened and saluted Si fucking. "Thank you, Miss Fucking." "Thank you, Miss Fucking. Miss Fu Qing is so amazing, her medical skills are even higher than Miss Yun 11's. It seems that the ability of evolvers is indeed not omnipotent, hey. Actually, Miss Yun 11 doesn't know how to heal, just because she is a healing evolver." These sounds were so pervasive that Yin Yongzi felt as if her heart was being eaten by ants, and it hurt like needles, making her breathless. She suddenly regretted why she asked Si fucking to save people. According to her idea, Si fucking would either refuse to let the Yin family feel cold, or he would kill the patient and be kicked out of the Yin family. How so? Suddenly took her place. The hatred in Yin Yongzi's eyes almost turned into substance, as sharp as a knife. She took a deep breath, turned around and left. Si fucking senses have always been sharp. She turned her head and smiled. "Without the ability of an evolver, how can you still save people?" Yin Yongzi's footsteps suddenly stopped, and a layer of cold sweat broke out on his back. Indeed, she was able to quickly find the cause of the disease because of her ability as an evolver. She could cure some difficult and complicated diseases, but she didn't understand the principle at all. This kind of poison cannot be said to be incurable in the medical field, but she cannot directly remove it with her evolver ability. It's a pity that this assumption is not valid. Yin Yongzi pursed her lower lip, her expression serious. My evolver ability will not disappear, it will evolve. Si fucking raised his eyebrows and said, evolve. Then I wish you good luck. Yin Yongzi failed to understand the meaning of the sentence. She endured unprecedented humiliation and returned to the room. The head of the personal guard observed the words and spoke carefully, Miss, don't take it too seriously. Miss, Yin Yongzi's nails dug into her palms, and she couldn't bear it anymore. She said coldly, I guess it won't be long before Si fucking will replace me. Because they still have concerns, the Yin family has not announced the identities of Yin Yeonian, Si fucking, and Nian Yin. When Yin was admitted to the inner courtyard, Yin Yongzi could barely sit still. But when Si fucking showed medical skills that surpassed hers, Yin Yongzi was completely panicked. When will her evolver ability be evolved? If this continues, what advantage will she have? Yin Yongzi closed her eyes, exhaled slowly, and suddenly said, did a marquise from the Lotbar family also be poisoned by the revenge organization last year, and she is still paralyzed in bed? The head guard was stunned for a moment. Yes, what do you mean, miss? Yin Yongzi finally showed a smile, revealing the news about Si fucking's detoxification to them is a good opportunity. The Yin family does not allow direct descendants to kill each other, but if other families do it, they don't care about her. Yin Yongzi took a sip of tea with a calm expression. The Lotbar family has always been tough in style, and I don't know if Si fucking can bear it anymore. The captain of the guard understood and hurriedly went to take action. Soon, the marquis of the Lotbar family got the news. He stood up suddenly, can it really detoxify? Doesn't it rely on the ability of an evolver? The subordinate nodded, it's absolutely true, those people in the Yin family who were poisoned have returned to normal. Okay, the marquis high-fived, then go to the Yin family and ask her to come over and show it to your wife. The marquise had been plagued by toxins for a long time and had been tortured, but he searched all over the doctors, but no one could cure her. It's not that the marquis didn't want to go to Free Continent, it's because he has no connections at all. The subordinate hesitated, then what if she doesn't want to? Not willing, the marquis frowned, if you don't want to, just tie her up. How can the Yin family compare with us now? Yin Yongzi is good at picking up Kinking's vest 2333. See you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 625. Lotbar's fortune began as a gangster, and after so many years, he still continued this style. But the family also has strict rules and cannot do anything to ordinary people. Although Si fucking's surname is Si, she is also from the Yin family. Then he could take action and take Si fucking away by force. It was just a cure, he would not harm Si fucking's life, and would even send Si fucking back after the treatment. In this way, the Yin family cannot find any fault. In short, I want to see her person at 8 o'clock tomorrow night, the marquis said forcefully. I don't care how the person came, you can figure it out yourself. The subordinate followed the marquis and knew his style of doing things very well. He understood and went down to prepare. Yin family. In order to accompany Mrs. Yin, Si fucking stayed at the Yin family tonight. After Si fucking showed off her medical skills, Yin Pingsheng immediately reallocated resources and gave her a larger courtyard. Si fucking took it all in, but he didn't listen to Yin Pingsheng's teachings. She was leaning back in her recliner, her phone in her other hand. The night breeze blows by, cool and quiet. Are you okay? The man's warm voice came from the receiver, with a faint smile, which easily touched the heartstrings. With just 3 words, my heartbeat spread all over the ground like dandelions, flying everywhere. It's okay, Si fucking blinked. I rescued a few of the family's guards today, and they also gave me a lot of delicious fruits. I'll bring them to you when I get back. but the snobbish people in the Yin family are very annoying. I don't want to deal with them. And Yuzian listened to her words one by one without any impatience. The desire to share is very important. She is willing to share her daily life with him, and of course he is more moved by her. After Si fucking finished speaking, he also asked, "Brother Ninth, how are you doing today?" Yuzian stood on the balcony, raised his head, and whispered, "The moonlight is beautiful tonight." Ah, Si fucking glanced at the black sky, what a pity. There is no moon here. This group of evolvers must have created too much pollution. Yuzian paused. After a few seconds, he slowly said, "We'll see when we come back. I'll go back tomorrow." Si fucking's voice suddenly became colder. "I'll settle the score with you later." Call ended. Yuzian closed his eyes, and after a while, he sighed in a funny way. Only then did he realize that he was indeed a little impatient. This kind of impatience has almost never appeared in his life. He didn't have any emotions in this regard in his previous life, and his duty was to be the emperor of Daxia. From the moment he ascended the throne, he devoted his life to the great Xia dynasty until his death. He did it willingly. When he could open his eyes again, perhaps not only could he see Daxia 1,500 years later, but he could also truly be himself. Yuzian stood quietly for a while, until a cloud covered the moon, and then he turned and returned to the room. At 11 o'clock in the night, I saw the beautiful moonlight tonight, and I always felt that you should be by my side at this time. Early the next morning, Mrs. Yin helped Si fucking pack his luggage and said, "These are all good for your health. You are too tired from continuous filming, so you must recuperate." Si fucking looked silently at the suitcase that was half her height. There is a kind of care that parents must fill your box with. Miss Fu Qing, the housekeeper knocked on the door. "Someone is looking for you." It was sent by the Lotbar family. "Okay, I'll go out and take a look." Si fucking wiped his hands and walked out. But she didn't know the person coming. Her fox eyes narrowed. "Hello, Miss Si." The young man smiled politely. "I was sent by the Marquis of Lotbar. I heard that you have superb medical skills and can detoxify the poison from the Revenge Organization. I hereby come to ask you to treat the Marquis. The pay is easy to say." Si fucking hummed, "Which Marquis?" The young man was stunned for a moment, and then quickly said, "Marquis Clavier Lotbar." Si fucking had indeed never heard of this name. In her previous life, her main battlefield was in Free Continent, and her only interactions with the three major evolver families came from Odelia Lotbar and Kukaki Minjio. She had never even heard of the twin geniuses Yin Baikan and Yin Yeonian before, let alone some minor roles. Wait a moment. Si fucking took out his cell phone, found Odelia's profile picture, poked it, and sent a message. "Do you know the Marquis Clavier Lotbar?" Odelia's reply was quick. "Clever. You know, I don't like him, and he still wants his son to marry me." Lotbar is a huge surname with hundreds of direct members and many branches. As long as the relationship is distant enough, members of the family can also get married. Si fucking raised his eyebrows. That's really commonplace. How did he come up with this idea? Odelia is a rare genius in the Lotbar family for several years, and she is on the eternal list of the inner court, and has the absolute right to choose a spouse in the Free Continent. Who knows, maybe he thinks his son is the best in the world. After chatting with Odelia, Si fucking looked up again. "Sorry, I haven't heard of it, so I won't go." Odelia didn't like it, and of course she turned to her netizens. The young man really did not expect that she would refuse, and frowned. "Miss Si, this is a rare opportunity. As long as you can cure the Marquis can give you an unexpected reward, allowing you to stand firm in the world of evolvers." "Heal!" Si fucking exclaimed. "I was still thinking about how trustworthy your Marquis would be, but it turns out that you have already reached this level." She was too lazy to say anything else and just waved her hand. Butler, see the guests off. The butler took a step forward. Sir, please. The young man came alone. Even if he wanted to take Si away now, he didn't have the ability. He shook his head. Miss Si, you will regret it. Grandma, I'm leaving. Si turned a deaf ear and said, your health is no longer a problem. Remember to drink the tea I gave you every day. Mrs. Yin smiled and waved goodbye to her. Grandma knows. After getting off the plane, it was already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Si finished her disguise and found a small shop to find food. She had just taken off her scarf when a voice suddenly called her. King Bao. Si turned around. King Bao, the girl was very excited, waving to her vigorously, and ran in front of her. King Bao, I see you. Si. Sure enough, all disguises and detection methods are useless in front of the keen-eyed fans. She was helpless and rubbed her head for the first time. How did you recognize it? The girl was confident. With your figure and eyes, your facial features are so recognizable. You are the only one in the entertainment industry. Si. Unwise. She should be disguised. The girl looked admiring and said with starry eyes, King Bao, I am your career fan, but you are too cute, so I have become a full-time mom fan. Si. Smiled. She took off her mask, stretched out her hand, and patted the head of the girl who was half a head shorter than her. She asked in a gentle voice, what makes you think I'm cute? The beauty was hit hard at close range, and the girl covered her heart. Aw. You are so cute. Si. Was silent. Hopeless. King Bao, let me treat you to dinner. The girl was beaming. Don't worry, I will wait until you leave before posting on Weibo to show off. Si. Said lazily, no, I still have money for food. Sit down. The girl sat down happily. Neither of them was extravagant, so they ordered 2 bowls of noodles and 2 plates of vegetables. I'm going back to the set first. Si. Put his finger on his lips. Don't say anything. The girl nodded, yes. So good. Si. Looked casual. She stood up and was blocked by more than a dozen people as she left the shop. The faces are all Western, and each one is powerful. King Bao, the girl also stood up. She was very alert. Si. Is very popular now. She has many illegitimate meals, and her negative fans still exist. Because the female general who presided over the country and the demon crossing were both set in the ancient times of the Xia dynasty, they did not create much excitement in the Western continent. Kesi's reputation as a 9 god is enough to gain hundreds of millions of fans. Are these blonde and blue-eyed foreigners crazy esports fans? Miss Si, right? We have heard your name. The middle-aged man in the lead nodded slightly towards Si. The Marquis is sorry that you didn't come to invite you this morning, so we have to pick you up in person now. When he said this, he glanced at the girl beside him and snorted softly. Ordinary people. There's no need to care. Si's eyebrows did not move, and she did not show any fear. She said in a calm voice, I don't have time. It doesn't matter whether Miss Si is free or not. The middle-aged man was not surprised by this answer. What is important is that your people will appear in the Lotbar family before 8 o'clock tonight. He turned his head and said calmly to the 2 A-level evolvers behind him, there is no need to tie her up in public. Take her away gently. 2 A-level evolvers stepped forward. What are you doing? The girl became nervous, her voice trembling because of fear, but she still did not retreat. If you dare to hurt Ching Ching, we will not let you go. The middle-aged man ignored the girl at all and just looked at Si. Si. Put his hand on her shoulders and pulled her behind him. Kid, you are still in school, so you are quite courageous. Because of genetic suppression, ordinary people are born with an inexplicable fear of evolvers. But the girl didn't run away. It is precisely because of these fans that she will continue her acting career no matter how dirty the entertainment industry is. Si fucking rolled up his sleeves and smiled leisurely, want to see Zhang Ziyu's kung fu live. The girl was stunned for a moment, unable to react. What? Si fucking took off his hat and put it in her hand, and took off his coat. Watch it. Good morning. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 626. While the girl was still in a daze, Si fucking took 2 steps back and weighed up a 1.8-meter long iron rod at the door of the store. In the play, the spear used by Zhang Ziyu is 2 meters and 4 meters long. The iron rod stained with red rust was turned in Si fucking's hand without any sudden feeling at all, as if Zhang Ziyu was on the battlefield killing the enemy. A very simple action. At this moment, the girl felt as if she was immersed in the scene, and the blood in her body was boiling. She couldn't help opening her mouth wide and blurted out, "So handsome." Since the first episode, the fight scenes in The Heroine have been edited into several short videos by major video bloggers and spread wildly on major social platforms. It is undeniable that The Female General is the most superb fighting drama in more than 10 years. Unlike The Demon, which has post-production special effects, The Female General of the Kingdom is completely a real fight, and there are no stand-ins. According to director Liu, there was no need for a martial arts instructor on set, it was all up to the actors themselves. Sometimes when they are hit on the head, the camera cannot capture their movements. The girl didn't expect that she would be able to see Si fucking use a spear with her own eyes. This is the marksmanship passed down from the Zhang family, the Zhang family gun. It can be attacked and defended, both virtual and real, strong and soft at the same time. When he strikes out, he is unstoppable, and when he retreats, he is as fast as the wind. Rumor has it that once the Zhang family's gun is released, the enemy will have no way to escape. Through the holographic game Eternity, Si fucking also stayed in the Great Xia dynasty for several years. Although the game system turned her into a scholar who couldn't lift her shoulders or lift her hands, she saw that Zhang Suanjin and Zhang Ziyu had practiced a lot, and she knew many basic moves. You guys Si fucking took 2 steps forward and laughed lazily, single fight or group fight. Si fucking's reaction was completely beyond the expectations of the middle-aged people and other evolutionaries. Currently, among the 3 major evolver families, the Lotbar family is indeed the strongest. Si fucking didn't have any evolutionary bloodline, so where did he get the courage to fight them? Your courage is commendable, the middle-aged man sneered, it's a pity that in the face of absolute strength, you can't do anything. Before he finished speaking, Si fucking moved. The spear in her hand was already spinning, and the spear came out like a dragon, just like thunder. Before an evolved person could react, he was hit firmly on the ground by an iron rod, and his mind was buzzing. The middle-aged man's expression changed and he said sternly, "Catch her." The remaining evolvers received the order and stepped forward one after another. Si fucking still had a calm look on her face. She suddenly stepped back with her back foot and landed on the ground. Then she suddenly jumped up and stabbed the opponent's vital part with the iron rod in her hand. The evolver who was the target of her attack was startled and hid in a hurry. The close combat skills of these evolvers were obviously far inferior to Si fucking's. She easily blocked 7 or 8 of them by herself. Next, she did not directly overwhelm the opponent, but as she promised to the girls, she practiced all the moves that appeared in the drama The Heroine of the Kingdom. The girl's eyes widened, her hands couldn't help but clenched, and she was screaming crazily in her heart. The Zhang family's gun can only be broken if it is fast. You can really see the after image. Putting away the last move, Si fucking put away his lazy expression and finally used his strength in his hands. Boom. Bang bang. Several evolved people all fell to the ground, falling so hard that stars appeared in their eyes. Si fucking stepped on the chest of an evolver, put the tip of the iron rod against his throat, and slowly approached. Why, after you can no longer use the ability of the evolver, Are you so useless? Hearing these words, the evolver glared angrily, clenched his fingers, and veins jumped on his arms. Don't be proud. That's good for you. I fucking chuckled. Let's see if it's my hands that are faster or your ability that's faster. Click. The iron rod moved forward again, the tip glowing with cold light, just one step away from cutting his throat. The evolver's pupils shrank suddenly, cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and he couldn't help shouting, "No!" There are indeed evolved people who can defend against bullets, knives, and guns. There is a mentor in the Eternal Academy who can transform his body tissue into some kind of alloy-like substance in exchange for super strong defense. But this is the ability of a top evolver, and he doesn't have it. There is also an unbridgeable gap between A-level evolvers. The tip stopped just a millimeter away from his eyeball. His heart was in his throat, and he was about to faint. Si fucking withdrew his hand and said calmly, "Get out." The evolved man rolled and crawled back to the middle-aged man, his clothes already soaked with cold sweat. The middle-aged man's expression was extremely ugly. This is the Daxia Empire after all, and the Evolutionary Alliance and the Supernatural Management Bureau have established regulations. Evolvers above level B are not allowed to use abilities without permission. The Daxia Empire is a very mysterious place. Perhaps because it is guarded by 5 dragon veins, those who attack Daxia will never get any benefits. Miss Si, this matter is obviously a success, so why are you so stubborn? The middle-aged man looked sharply. Are you never going to leave the Great Xia Empire in this life? Si fucking narrowed his eyes and suddenly raised his hand. The iron rod flew away from his hand, the sharp point heading straight towards the middle-aged man. Boom. The iron rod was stuck on the ground, and the middle-aged man's legs went weak, and he was paralyzed, with only a look of horror on his face. Si fucking clapped his hands and smiled slightly. What a waste. Evolved people who only rely on their abilities are not as good as ordinary people. The Eternal Academy teaches students that they can still unleash super combat power when they are not using their abilities. This is also the reason why the evolvers who came out of the Eternal Academy are simply not comparable to other evolvers. Say it again. Si fucking suddenly stopped smiling, his eyes were cold. Get out. The middle-aged man stood up with the help of 2 evolvers. A group of people fled in panic and quickly disappeared. The surroundings became quiet again. Si fucking clicked her tongue. If she were in the central city of the Evolutionary Alliance now, she could send these people directly to see God. But she still needs to pay attention to her image in front of fans. Si fucking stepped forward, picked up the iron rod, and put it back to its place. When she turned around and saw that the girl was still in a daze, she raised her eyebrows, stretched out her hand and shook it. I've come back to my senses. Ah, the girl was so excited that she blushed and stammered, King Bao, you beat them all away. Well, they are all bad people. Si fucking nodded. If you dare to come again, you won't be able to escape so easily. The girl covered her face and took a long time to calm down. She hesitated and said, King Bao, do you have any plans after filming Light? What are the follow-up plans? Si fucking thought for a while. I have signed a new variety show with Daxia TV. If there is a suitable script next year, I will continue to make movies. A good film and television drama is the result of many efforts. If there is no suitable director and script, she would rather rest than take on a bad drama. At present, Sang Yanking has a mountain of scripts in her hands, and several investors have even offered her salary to a very scary level. They can exchange a lot of rations for Xiaobai, but she still refuses. Wow, I will definitely watch it. The girl suddenly remembered a crucial question again, pitifully, King Bao, you won't quit the circle, right? Before that, she could still firmly believe that Si fucking would not withdraw from the circle. But after seeing Si fucking's true skills today, she was really worried that one day a helicopter would pick up Si fucking to carry out some mysterious mission. Withdraw, Si fucking lowered his eyelashes. As long as you are here, I won't leave this time. This time? The girl was stunned. Okay, it's getting late. You're still a student, right? Si fucking flicked her forehead with his finger. Go home early. Don't follow me next time if you see me. Just in case anything happens, what should I do? You must put your own safety first and have the ability to make subjective judgments, you know. The girl hesitated for a moment and nodded, but you won't hurt me. Si fucking glanced at him lightly. Next time you call me cute, I will hurt you. Girl. What if a goddess like this is also cute? A good idol will do it to the end. My little friend, I'll give you a ride. Si fucking put on his hat again and said, let's go. She sent the girl to the nearest station and left after confirming that those people would not turn back. The girl didn't calm down completely until she got in the car. She took out her phone, her fingers trembling as she posted. At Ching Ching is a little angel. Ching Ching is really great. I met her by chance today. Not only did she treat me to dinner, but she also demonstrated the Zhang family's gun. Oh wow, why is she so good? This post appeared after Kaihua, and the comments exploded instantly. What's your luck? Holy shit, are you going to play with a spear in front of you? Damn it, why wasn't I the one who met the goddess? Draw your sword, love rival, either you die or I die today. Who is crying with envy? It's me who is crying with envy. I'm going to walk around the streets to see if I can meet my wife by chance and get an autographed photo. After the girl replied to a few comments with satisfaction, she became more determined in her decision. She will always like Si fucking. Such a magical idol cannot be found even with a lantern. In the evening, the Lotbar family. The middle-aged man knelt on the ground, not daring to raise his head to look at the face of Marquis Clavier. What a waste, Marquis Clavier said coldly. There are more than a dozen of you, but you can't even catch a little girl. The middle-aged man argued, Your Highness, we don't dare to use the ability of evolvers in Daxia, so that's why. The Marquis of Clavier did not listen to his explanation. The problem now is that I want her people to come. Si fucking was filming in the Daxia Empire, and it was indeed difficult to do anything. Your Highness, on the side, the counselor suddenly said, Your Highness, why don't you let the young master marry this Miss Si? In this way, there will be no reward. Marquis Clavier frowned. Let will marry her. In his mind, the one who is most worthy of his son is Oglia, the Black Swan. Si fucking was still too far behind. See you tomorrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 627. After all, Si fucking does not have an evolutionary bloodline. If she is A-level, Marquis Clavier will be very satisfied. And Augilia is different. She is also 27 years old this year, but she has never been married. As a transcendent a great evolver, she has a noble bloodline. Another graduate of the inner courtyard of the Eternal Academy, he left his name on the Eternal ranking and is powerful. There are also a lot of dignitaries who pursue Augilia in Freeland, but she has no interest in it. However, Marquis Clavier believed that Augilia had been waiting for his son, and this delayed marriage until now. The counselor said calmly, His Royal Highness, our purpose is only to cure Madame. As long as she comes and detoxifies Madame, there will be no other things to do. Marquis Clavier pondered for a moment, and finally nodded reluctantly, Okay, get ready, go to the Yin family to propose marriage tomorrow. As the counselor said, if he is not satisfied with Si fucking, he can completely let her go out of the house. The counselor nodded and went down to prepare the dowry. Marquis Clavier gave the middle-aged man a cold look, then got up and went upstairs. He walked to the second door and knocked, Will The door opened and there was a young man in his early 20s. He had a ferocious face and a very sinister expression. Marquis Clavier was very satisfied. "Will, father has chosen a marriage for you. This is the woman's photo, you can take a look." Sci-Fi's photos are very easy to find, and they are all over the internet. Marquis Clavier couldn't understand that as a member of the Yin family, Sci-Fi had to go to the entertainment circle, which was really a waste. Will was very impatient. "I don't want to get married either. I just like Miss Augilia. Father knows, so I just asked you to marry her temporarily." Marquis Clavier patted him on the shoulder. "When your mother is cured, you can just let her go." Will then reluctantly took the photo. Seeing this, his eyes instantly straightened, and his hands couldn't help shaking. Seeing his appearance, Marquis Clavier smiled. "It looks very good, you can stay if you like." Will nodded, very surprised. "Thank you, father." "Don't bother you, you can do it." Marquis Clavier was very relieved, exited, and closed the door. Will pinched the picture of Sci-Fi, and after looking at it a few times, he couldn't help but gasped. Before that, the most beautiful woman he had ever seen was Augustia. But Sci-Fi not only had a handsome face, but also had a vigorous youthful vigor on his body, so beautiful that it was suffocating, and it was even more difficult to look away. Will's eyes rolled, and he inevitably had more thoughts in his mind. It would be great if he could marry both of them, and he could enjoy the blessings of everyone. Hearing that Augilia would be home in 2 days, he would find a way to bring it up to his father. On the other side, Sijukan. After Sci-Fi returned to the crew, he filmed for another 2 hours until 8 o'clock before Chu Lingyun was finally released. Yuzian drove to pick her up. "Ninth brother, hurry up, I'm afraid I'll be blocked for a while." Sci-Fi opened the car door and got into the car. "I was discovered by a little fan of mine today. Fortunately, I went to the wrong place. She has truly seen the explosiveness of girls of the town, which is several times larger than the scale of Demon Crossing." Yuzian hummed and turned the steering wheel. "Little fan. Little girl, maybe she's only in high school." Sci-Fi held her chin. "As a result, she's actually a fan of my mother, and she says I'm cute. Where am I related to these two words?" Yuzian glanced at her in the rearview mirror, and said unhurriedly, "It's quite cute." Sci-Fi looked at him and rarely said anything. The heart is happy at this moment. Reluctantly let him compliment it. The two returned to the villa. Sci-Fu dumped on the sofa and rolled around while hugging the pillow. Yuzian raised her eyebrows and asked her, "What would you like to eat?" Sci-Fi raised his hands, very happy. "Hot pot fried skewers." "Okay, I'll have someone prepare." Yuzian nodded slightly. He went to the window and started to call. The man is tall and tall, he is still wearing a dark gray suit, the light falls on the cufflinks at his cuffs, the dark light floats, and he is noble and elegant. Sci-Fi took out his mobile phone, faced his back, and pressed the shutter button. With a click, he turned his head. Sci-Fi put down the phone very calmly, pretending that nothing happened. But he was still looking at her, his eyes gradually deepening. At this moment, the ringing of the mobile phone rescued her. Sci-Fi grabbed the phone and ran to the other side to answer the call. "Hello," Augilia's voice came from the receiver. "I heard that your brother was admitted to the inner court with the first good grades, congratulations." "I accidentally opened a back door for him." Sci-Fi asked lazily, "Where are you?" "Oh, the Principality of Miston," said Augilia. "It's 11:30 on my side, and I'm going to have dinner with the Duke of Miston." Sci-Fi paused. "Who do you say you want to eat with?" "Duke Raphael Miston." Augilia shrugged. "My father arranged a blind date. If I can get an extra meal, I'm here." Sci-Fi, "You see that he hasn't been married for so long, aren't you worried that he's out of his mind and you want to hit him when he's so angry?" Augilia was silent for a moment, and she said slowly, "I really haven't considered this matter. For the sake of his lavish spending, I will endure it. You may not be able to resist. I promise I'll throw soup on his head at most. Si fucking mourned for a few seconds in his heart for her 6th senior brother. Brother 6 is used to smashing people with money, but in front of the real violent fighting maniac, he is still a weak and pitiful little boy. Augilia was keenly aware that Si fucking's breathing rate had accelerated. Did you do any strenuous exercise? You're talking nonsense, I'm not going to have supper anymore. Si fucking hung up the phone immediately. 10 minutes later, Feng San and Kenyan brought all the hot pot and fried skewers, and left as quickly as possible with a wink. The two enjoyed their meals in the open air in the courtyard. What a pity. Si fucking raised his hand and caught a falling flower. There is no moon today, I can't see it. Uzian's eyelashes drooped, and suddenly smiled very lightly. I saw it. The person in front of you is the heart of the last month. Si fucking didn't hear clearly. 9th brother. Uzian sighed, raised his hand and stuffed a piece of fruit for her, and squeezed her bulging cheek. Eat. At noon the next day, the Yin family. Yin Yeonian sat in the middle, and even the position of the great elder fell behind. But Yin Yeonian didn't have much interest in the so-called power. After eating, he didn't bother to communicate with other people and returned to his courtyard. After he left, the first elder felt that the oppressive aura disappeared. He breathed a sigh of relief, and his eyes were full of fear. As expected of the S-class. This kind of pedigree suppression makes people unable to resist at all. Old elder, the butler hurried in, the Lotbar family is here. Yin Pingshen got up, hurry up, please. The current owner of Lotbar is S rank and is also a combat type. The ability of the evolutionary is related to the mastery of elements. The comprehensive strength is indeed going to be a step ahead of the Yin family. Senior Yin, it's abrupt. Marquis Clavier smiled, but I was too anxious, and I didn't prepare anything, so I rushed over in such a hurry. However, Yin Pingshen noticed the guards behind him who were carrying boxes. The box was half open, and it was full of ore. The evolutionary can use this ore for cultivation, consolidate the bloodline and stabilize the energy, which is an indispensable resource for the evolutionary. These boxes have already been used for a year by the direct descendants of the Yin family. Yin Pingshen's expression softened. If the Marquis has something to do, please tell me. Marquis Clavier nodded, his expression inevitably a little contemptuous. It is said that the Yin family is on the decline, but today it is indeed the case. A few boxes of ores can make the supreme elder of the Yin family bow his head. If it was placed 20 years ago, how could the Yin family be so humble? The thing is, I intend to marry the Yin family, Marquis Clavier said. This is part of the dowry. Yin Pingshen frowned. I don't know which lady of the Yin family Marquis Clavier has taken a fancy to. Clavier is not a direct descendant of the Lotbar family, but he has a title. The House of Lotbar distributes titles based on the contributions of its members. There are 6 existing Marquis, of which Clavier is the strongest. Si fucking Marquis Clavier went straight to the point. Isn't the Supreme Elder disagreeing? Yin Pingshen's brows furrowed even tighter. If Si fucking hadn't shown absolute medical skills before, and the Lotbar family came to propose marriage, he would definitely obey. But today is different. Si fucking is of great significance to the entire Yin family. I'm sorry, Your Highness. The Marquis Yin Pingshen considered all the pros and cons, but still refused. Except her and Yungzi, you can choose anyone else. Marriage was common before big families, and he was very happy to marry the Lotbar family. Except her. Clavier's expression darkened. What if I say she has to be? Yin Pingshen's expression changed. That's a pity. Your Highness can't force others to be difficult, right? Okay, very good. Clavier laughed in anger. Your Yin family was born in the Great Xia Empire, as expected from ancient times to the present. You are a group of hard bones. I put my words here. My son must marry Si fucking. If your Yin family disagrees, don't blame me for being rude. Yin Pingshen's expression changed greatly. The Yin family's fighting power was destroyed more than 20 years ago. How to fight against the Lotbar family? The other Yin family members also changed their faces. The first elder hesitated for a while, Elder Tais Hang, or else. The Yin family really can't stand the toss. Clavier, a cold voice sounded, shaking the world. I haven't seen you for more than 20 years, you are not small, you even dare to fight my niece's idea. Clavier turned back suddenly. Who? Yin Yaonian walked out of the darkness step by step. Want to marry her? Okay, hit me first. Good morning. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 628. After more than 20 years of trials and tribulations, Yin Yaonian has transformed from a high-spirited young man into a man with a sword in his hand. He has a resolute face, deep eyes, and veins pulsing in his arms. Obviously this is a very brave man with a strong physique. You. Marquis Clavier frowned. He felt that the man in front of him was familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen him before. But he truly felt the absolute suppression from his bloodline. Yin Yaonian did nothing, just stood here. Marquis Clavier's legs softened and he knelt on the ground with a bang. There was only horror in his eyes, and even more disbelief. S level. But among the Yin family and his peers, the strongest Yin Junping is only transcendent A level. Where did he get the S level? The brain was in chaos at this moment, and long-standing memories were dug out. The Yin family's pair of rare geniuses are known as the twin stars in the world of evolvers, and they are also judged to be the only way to lead the Yin family to gain a foothold in Free Continent. At that time, with the position of Marquis Clavier in the Lotbar family, he could only watch Yin Baikan and Yin Yaonian from a distance. In that generation, no one could be a match for the two brothers. Even Fred, the current head of the Lotbar family, has to surrender. But aren't they already dead? Marquis Clavier's eyes widened. Are you Yin Baikan? No. You. Before he finished speaking, Yin Yaonian pinched his shoulder. Severe pain came, bone-piercing pain. Marquis Clavier couldn't help but let out a scream, and his face instantly turned pale. Yaonian, Yin Pingshen's expression changed and he said anxiously, calm down and say what you have to say. This is a member of the Lotbar family. The title of Marquis Clavier was personally conferred by the previous head of the Lotbar family. If the Lotbar family is offended, the current Yin family simply cannot afford it. Yin Yaonian ignored Yin Pingshen. He didn't suppress his bloodline, he let go in all directions, and no one in the entire Yin family could get even half a step closer to him. Yin Pingshen stamped his feet and became even more anxious. Yin Yaonian looked down at Clavier and sneered, your son? What, is your son an S-class evolved person or a wealthy duke? How dare you even think about marrying my niece without looking in the mirror and seeing who you are? This sentence hit the sore point of Marquis Clavier. He was still kneeling on the ground, but his eyes were red and his expression was grim. What's wrong? Your niece doesn't even have the blood of an evolutionary person. It's her honor for my son to fall in love with her. Snapped. As soon as Marquis Clavier finished speaking, he was slapped hard on the face. Yin Yaonian didn't hold back at all. Marquis Clavier spit out a mouthful of blood, which contained several broken teeth. Pain shot through his body, leaving him almost breathless. Yin Yaonian hadn't even used his evolver ability, but it was already so powerful that he couldn't resist. Remember, Yin Yaonian slapped him again, when you have this idea, you have already touched my bottom line. He not only loved Sci-fucking, but also felt a lot of guilt. If he could have found her earlier, she wouldn't have had to suffer so much. Sci-fucking was the last concern and proof left by the Yin Baikan couple in this world, and he would protect her even to death. Marquis Clavier wanted to say something else, but was hit hard on the temple. He opened his mouth and spit out a large mouthful of blood uncontrollably. Then his consciousness disappeared and he passed out completely. Everyone was shocked and speechless by this man's brutal methods. Yin Yaonian turned his head and looked coldly at the guard whose calves were weak. "Get out of the Yin family." Several guards dragged the unconscious Marquis of Clavier and ran out of the Yin house, even forgetting to take the oar. Yin Yaonian clenched his fingers, and after more than 10 seconds, he gathered all his strength. Yin Pingsheng finally got rid of this terrifying pressure, and his expression became a bit bleak. "Yao Nian, you are too impulsive. He has a title after all. If you beat him like this, the Lotbar family will not settle down. In that battle more than 20 years ago, it wasn't just the high-end combat power of the Yin family that died." Yin Yaonian suddenly turned his head, his eyes were bright red, he took a deep breath, his voice was trembling. "The ones who died were also you. Have the passion and integrity in your hearts. Ask yourselves, if the Yin family faces the enemy again, will you still be able to hold on to the weapons in your hands? Will you just kneel down and beg for mercy and cry bitterly?" With one sentence, the entire Yin family fell into a dead silence. Everyone fell silent, unable to speak a word. The younger generation has not experienced that incident, but they have been taught since childhood not to cause trouble outside. Even if it is the other person's fault, they must take a step back and endure it again and again. The older generation had faced that bloody and tragic scene, and they had no desire to fight. They just wanted to be wise and protect themselves. But in this circle of evolvers, the weak cannot survive. Many S-class families are eyeing the position of the Yin family and want to pull the Yin family down. No matter how strong your foundation is, how long can it last? Yin Ping looked at Yin Yaonian and was stunned for the first time in his life. "Uncle Yaonian." There was silence for 3 full minutes before someone broke the silence. "It is Yin Wangchen, a genius of this generation of the Yin family, with a transcendent A-grade bloodline. I want to learn from you." Yin Wangchen took a step forward. He clenched his fists, and there were veins pulsing on his neck. His eyes were appraising. "If the Yin family faces life and death again, I will not retreat. Men must die on the battlefield. Don't be shy." Yin Yaonian raised his eyebrows and said, "I have nothing to teach you. Since you have entered Eternal College, you can study more with Yin." With Yin Wangchen as the first person, other juniors also rushed forward. "I have to practice hard too. And I. Uncle Yaonian, I am from the Space Department, I can learn from you." At this moment, the Yin family seemed to have returned to its heyday, and the fire of hope was rekindled. Yin Pingshen's lips trembled, and something in his chest seemed to be awakened, and his blood boiled for a moment. He was silent for a moment, took out a token, and handed it to Yin Yaonian's hand very solemnly. "This is the cross order, which can mobilize all the Yin family's guards. You keep it." Yin Yaonian was startled for a moment, then frowned. "What are you doing?" Yin Pingshen whispered, "Only you can lead the Yin family back to its peak. You are right, the Yin family has been worn down. So we can't go on like this." After hearing this, Yin Yaonian did not refuse. He nodded slightly and took several boys and girls to the school grounds. The others also dispersed and stepped up their training. "Tai Shang Elder, you have also seen his character. He is so impulsive. How could you hand the token to him?" The great elder couldn't help but said, "It was he and his elder brother who forced the Yin family into a desperate situation. No matter how the Yin family treats him, even if they fail him, as long as something happens to the Yin family, he will be the first to stand in front of us." Yin Pingsheng glanced at the great elder lightly. "This is the gap between you and him." The great elder opened his mouth, his throat seemed to be blocked by something, and it was extremely astringent. It was also at this moment that he understood many things. "I understand." The great elder nodded. He turned around and returned to his courtyard. After a while, Yin Yongzi came back from outside. She asked impatiently, "Grandpa, I heard that the Supreme Elder handed over power to Yin Yaonian?" Yin Junping also agreed. How can the Supreme Elder be so confused? Yun 11, I was wrong. The eldest elder sighed, Yin Yaonian is right. The Yin family can no longer hide and hide. The top priority is to put the Yin family first and give in to any personal emotions. Yin Yongzi dug her nails into her palms. She never expected that Yin Yaonian would become the backbone of the Yin family through this incident. The elder said again, Grandpa knows that you and Si fucking have conflicts, but you are both accomplished in the field of medicine, so don't worry about small conflicts. Joining forces is the best choice. Hearing these words, Yin Yongzi sneered in his heart, but nodded obediently. I understand, Grandpa, I must put the Yin family first. The great elder nodded and warned again, her medical skills are better than yours, so you should learn more from her. The news that Marquis Clavier was crippled by Yin Yaonian immediately spread in the evolution world. At the same time, the news of Yin Yaonian's return spread from one person to another. Lotbar family. Your Majesty, the Yin family has gone too far. Will's eyes turned red. They beat my father like this. They are clearly challenging the authority of our Lotbar family. This matter must not be revealed easily. Fred was on the phone with Odelia, and suddenly he was overjoyed. You said you want to bring a very good-looking friend of yours back to show your father. She likes fried chicken? Okay, father, go prepare it now. He was very worried that Odelia's social circle was too small. It was rare for her to take someone home, so he must entertain her well. Fred called the butler and told him to have the kitchen prepare a fried chicken feast. After that, he seemed to see Will. What did you just say? Will choked and repeated his words again. Fred frowned. The Yin family did go too far in this matter. Will was overjoyed and was about to ask Fred to come forward and help him marry Si fucking back when the butler ran up happily. Your Majesty, the eldest lady is back. Fred jumped up immediately. Quick, let my baby girl come in. Will also became nervous and looked out the door intently. He hadn't seen Odelia for a long time. Not long after, a woman in a black dress walked in. Fred opened his arms. Odelia avoided him with disgust and pointed behind her, my friend. Fred probed. Si fucking took off her mask and called out obediently, hello, uncle. Well behaved is just an illusion QVQ. See you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 629. Fred is indeed a face-conscious person. Si fucking softened the sharpness between his brows and eyes, and the lines of his facial features became a bit softer. When she is well behaved, she is still very deceptive. It's the type that the elders like best. So without any hesitation, Fred directly pulled out a big red envelope and stuffed it into Si fucking's hand. He said in a kind voice, you are Ogilia's friend. From now on, you will treat this place as your home. You can eat whatever you want and take whatever you want. There is no need to be polite to uncle. Si fucking did not refuse, thank you, uncle. The more Fred looked at her, the more he liked her. He smiled brightly, and then suddenly sighed again as if he remembered something. He looked at Ogilia and said quietly, my daughter, can you pretend to be good and make me happy? Oh, Ogilia shrugged, no. Fred. He was very sad. He has always hoped to have a beautiful daughter who can become his caring little cotton-padded jacket. But Ogilia was already more mature than her peers at the age of 6 and no longer let him hold her. There is still air leakage from time to time. Fred snorted coldly and said to Si fucking, uncle has prepared a fried chicken banquet for you. You and Odelia will go to my garden to rest, and I will continue to handle official duties. Ogilia and Si fucking left together, and neither of them saw Will from beginning to end. Naturally, Will knew Sci-fucking, and he would never forget that face once he saw it. He was even happier. Ogilia and Sci-fucking know each other, so doesn't this mean that if he marries both of them, they will never quarrel in the future? This is a great thing. Will couldn't wait any longer, and he spoke respectfully, "Your Majesty, I have a merciless request." Fred glanced at him lightly, "Since you know it's unreasonable, don't ask." Will was stunned and couldn't help blurting out, "Your Majesty, I just want to marry Miss Odelia, I have no other intention." As soon as these words came out, even the air became silent. The butler looked at Will in disbelief, his pupils dilated. Fred did not get angry, but smiled. "What did you say?" Will hurriedly repeated, "Your Majesty, please marry Miss Odelia to me." Fred's expression did not change, and he asked calmly, "What's the reason?" "Your Majesty, Miss Odelia is almost 30 years old. Women are not like men. The older they get, the less wanted they are." Will said it sincerely, and every word was the most straightforward thought in his heart. "I have admired Miss Odelia for a long time and am willing to wait for her. And Your Majesty, you also know that women are useless except for giving birth to children. In order to continue the lineage of the Lotbar family and give birth to better offspring, I will marry her." The more the housekeeper heard, the more frightened he became. In the end, his hands and feet were cold and his whole body was stiff. "What outrageous words is this Will saying?" "Okay, okay." Fred walked in step by step, and he smiled angrily, "Okay." Click. Before Will could react, Fred pinched his throat, and then his feet left the ground. The air gradually became thinner, and he couldn't breathe. He struggled for a moment, a little panicked. Your Majesty, I am speaking from the bottom of my heart, I. Boom. An elbow hit Will hard on the temple. His head buzzed, and suddenly it went blank, and his vision went black. My daughter will have whatever she wants. She will be a princess when she is born. The future leader of the Lotbar family, is it your turn to point your fingers here? Fred couldn't restrain his anger at all, and said fiercely. He slapped Will on the face and said, "Why, do you think you are benefiting her by marrying her? Has she committed a crime? Why do you want to marry her? In what age did we still have such stupid and futile ideas? Not to mention, the world of evolvers is all about fists. Whoever is more powerful and has a stronger background has the final say." Fred slapped Will on the face one after another. "Are you worthy? Have you looked in the mirror? A-level is amazing." Will was beaten stupidly. He vomited several mouthfuls of blood and slurred his words, "But Your Majesty, Miss Odelia also likes me." Boom. As soon as he finished saying this, he was kicked hard in the heart by Fred. "She likes you," Fred was furious. "What are you daydreaming about? Don't you even know who you are?" Blood continued to flow from the corners of Will's mouth. He took in less air than out, but still spoke intermittently. She looks at me every time she comes back. I." The housekeeper couldn't hold it back anymore and cursed loudly, "That's because you're always standing at the door blocking the eldest lady's view. What an idiot. How dare you block her view?" Fred's eyes were cold. "You are really looking for death." Butler. The butler took a step forward. "Your Majesty. Which faction is he from?" "Throw the whole family out of my family," Fred said coldly, "and him, after destroying his evolutionary bloodline. I wonder if he still dares to think like this." The butler took the order. "Yes, Your Majesty." Will was completely stunned, his heart felt cold, and he finally became afraid. What happened? Is he really being affectionate? Will opened his mouth, but blood kept coming out of his throat, making him speechless. "Take it away quickly." Fred was still angry and kicked Will hard. "What bad luck." Will passed out. "Your Majesty, calm down." The butler hurriedly asked someone to drag him down and handed him another cup of tea. Fred's anger was still lingering, and he calmed down for a moment. I'm going to see Odelia. In the garden, Si fucking didn't stay too long. After leaving a few prescriptions for Odelia, she climbed over the wall with the fried chicken and left. Fred felt a little sorry. He quite wanted to accept Si fucking as his goddaughter. Fred told Odelia about Wool. Odelia shrugged. Oh, him, my friend just said that he asked his father to go to the Yin family to propose marriage, and was beaten by her uncle. Fred frowned. So that's it? It's simply ungrateful. He ordered the butler to arrest the Marquis of Clavier and wait until the Marquis of Clavier woke up before taking care of him. Dad is very happy that you can have friends. Fred turned around and said, your mother will also be happy if she knows. Hearing these words, Odelia slowly clenched her fingers, her eyes were colder than ever before. I have never forgotten it. Her mother's birth is not noble, but her bloodline is very outstanding, and she is transcendent a grade. He is also an outstanding student who graduated from the inner courtyard of Eternal College. She inherited her mother's evolver abilities. But her mother died in eternity not long after she was born. This hit Fred hard. He was decadent for a whole year. But the Lotbar family will not let him continue like this. In order to give Odelia a safe space to grow, he had to fight for the position of power again. Odelia entered the Eternal Academy, not only to increase her strength, but also to find out the cause of her mother's death. By the way, does the little girl from the Yin family have any other hobbies? Fred asked. If something stupid like this happens to our family, my father will have to come and apologize and thank them for cleaning up the house for us. Odelia thought for a moment. She likes gold. Fred breathed a sigh of relief and looked happy. That's easy to make a living. So he called the housekeeper and asked him to move some gold products from the basement to be sent to the Yin family later. In just one day, the Yin family has undergone earth-shaking changes. The younger generation began to practice hard and no longer fought openly and secretly and suppressed each other like before. Yin Pingshen was very pleased. This kind of Yin family is the real Yin family. Yun 11. Make good friends with the Evolutionary Alliance and try to apply for more medicine. Yin Pingsheng said, this is a critical moment for the Yin family. Everyone must contribute. Yin Yungzi pinched her fingers and said in a soft voice, I know, Supreme Elder. She was holding a breath in her heart. The connections and resources of the Evolutionary Alliance were obtained through her own efforts, so why should she share them with others? If the rest of the Yin family can't do it, what does it have to do with her? At this time, Yin Pingsheng suddenly stood up. Fu Qing is back. Yin Yungzi looked up and saw Si fucking holding a box of fried chicken, and sneered softly. Yao Nian is teaching children how to control the power of evolution in the school grounds. Yin Pingsheng said with a smile, if you want to find him, just go there. Si fucking didn't even say hello, let alone glance at Yin Yungzi, and slowly left the hall. Yin Yungzi watched Yin Pingsheng's attitude towards Si fucking change dramatically. He was more affectionate and aggrieved than he was towards her. She drank cup after cup of tea, just wanting to divert her attention quickly. The captain of the guard hurried in. The Supreme Elder, the head of the family, someone from the Lotbar family is here again. Yin Pingsheng's expression changed. Who is coming? The captain of the guard wiped his sweat. Fred Lotbar. The leader of the Lotbar family. In the past, when the Yin family was still powerful, the exchanges with the Lotbar family were also very close. More than 20 years have passed and contact has been lost. Because the Yin family is too weak. Fred came to the Yin family in person only because of what happened the day before yesterday. Things really got serious. Yin Pingsheng's hands shook, and he barely restrained his panic. Please come in. Yin Yungzi's eyes flashed and the corners of her lips curved. When she raised her head, she put on a worried expression. Sir, Uncle Yaonian is still too impulsive. He has not considered the Yin family at all. Now that the Lotbar family has come to question them, can Yin Yaonian still be the backbone of the Yin family? Can Si fucking continue to be favored? Yin Pingsheng did not speak. Yin Yongzi sighed, Supreme Elder, I'd better ask them for a favor later. Fred walked in under the leadership of the guard captain. Good morning. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 630. Seeing this, Yin Pingsheng stood up suddenly. He calmed down his violent emotions, nodded and said, Mr. Fred. He is 2 rounds older than Fred, but he is not as strong as Fred, so he deserves 3 points. Yin Pingsheng saw Fred with several guards again, and the guards were all carrying boxes, and his heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Count Clavier really invited Fred to come to the Yin family to propose marriage to Sci-fi? Yin Yongzi narrowed her eyes and immediately took 2 steps forward when she saw the situation. Hello, Uncle Fred. Oh, it's Yongzi. Fred naturally knew Yin Yongzi, and he smiled. How are you doing lately? Everything is fine. Yin Yongzi smiled gracefully. Is Uncle Fred here to see Uncle Yeonayan? Yes, I'm here to find him. Fred nodded. Yin Yongzi showed a hesitant look, and she said softly, Uncle Fred, Uncle Yeonayan didn't mean it, it was just that when it came to Fuqing, he had a bad temper, Before she finished speaking, Yin Yongzi suddenly felt her heart suffocate, as if she was being targeted by something terrifying. She couldn't help but shudder and turned around subconsciously. Yin Yeonayan didn't know when he appeared, but he looked at her calmly. Yin Yongzi's heart jumped again. Uncle Yao, Yeonayan, you are here, Seeing Yin Yeonayan, Yin Pingsheng breathed a sigh of relief. Among Yin Yeonayan's generation, only Yin Baikan was stronger than him, and Fred was no match for him. Fred's eyes lit up and he took a few steps forward. Yao Nian, after all, we grew up together before, but now we haven't seen each other for a long time. Yin Yeonayan was not used to his enthusiasm and took a step back. It's been a long time. Yes, it's been more than 20 years, alas. Fred sighed and added, I came to the Yin family this time specifically to thank you. I really trouble you to help the Lotbar family clean up their affairs. As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned except for Yin Yeonayan, who had long known that Sci-fi and Odelia were friends. Yin Yongzi's expression froze, her eyes widened suddenly, full of disbelief, and she almost suspected that she had heard wrongly. Didn't Fred come to the Yin family to raise an army to punish someone? Yin Yeonayan defeated a marquis from the Lotbar family. You're welcome. Yin Yeonayan smiled lightly, it's just that I can't bear the idea of him trying to take advantage of my niece. Not only that, he also has plans for my daughter. Fred sneered, Brother Yin, don't worry, I have expelled this one of them from the Lotbar family. This is a small gift. Brother Yin, please take it. He clapped his hands and signaled the guards to open the box. In addition to enough gold to blind one's eyes, there are also various ores inside. Not a small sum by any means. Yin Yongzi stared at several boxes, her nails dug into her palms, and her face was a little distorted. Brother Yin, if you have time, you can bring your family to my house as a guest. Fred said with a smile, we can also learn from each other. Yin Yeonayan, easy to say. Fred, then I won't disturb you. Let's meet up another day when we have time. He left with his guards, leaving behind Yin Pingsheng and others who were still in shock. It took a long time before Yin Pingsheng came back to his senses. Yao Nian, Fred. I'm here to give you an apology. Yin Yeonayan remained calm, let's chat while I leave first. He didn't ask for help, and used his evolutionary ability to leave with several boxes of gold and ores. Yin Yongzi couldn't even say anything to ask Yin Yeonayan to keep these resources and distribute them to others. Her ears were ringing and her face was flushed. How so? It's not like the Yin family hasn't tried to get closer to the Lotbar and Kukaki families in recent years, but they haven't succeeded. Although she has treated important figures in these two families and has accumulated a certain network of contacts, she cannot change the relationship between the families. How long has it been since Yin Yeonian came back? Others whispered among themselves. As expected of Yao Nian, he actually managed to defeat Fred. The Supreme Elder, the Yin family is really saved. Yin Yongzi could no longer hear what others were saying. Her heart was cut by a knife, and she left the hall in despair. At this moment, many Yin family members are seizing the time to train on the school field. Sci-fi was half squatting on the ground. In front of her was a little girl. The little girl is only 8 years old, her bloodline has just awakened, and she is still unable to fully control the power of the evolver. She looked very painful, her skin turned blue and her veins protruded, obviously she was suffering from huge pain. Relax. Sci-fi put his hand on her back and said softly, "This is your own power, don't reject it, learn to accept it, and breathe with me." Gradually, the veins on the little girl's arms disappeared, and her eyes became clear again. She lowered her head and said a little shyly, "Thank you, Sister Ching Ching." "It's okay." Sci-fi was very patient and rubbed her head, "If you have anything you don't understand, you can ask me." The little girl nodded, then hesitated, "Sister, why are you helping me?" Although the Yin family prohibits members of the direct line from killing each other, it does not prohibit fighting. On the contrary, it is very encouraged. Everyone wants to be the only genius in the family, so it is a good thing not to suppress others. Sci-fi was startled for a moment, then smiled, "I'm helping you too." What she helped was her former self. Having been wandering in the free continent until the age of 5, it is not easy for a young child to learn to survive in this treacherous continent. Until the night turns the tide. From today on, you have an extra sister. Don't be afraid. My sister will protect you from now on. I am the 3rd child and you are my sister. That is the 4th child. How about your last name is Si? To turn the tide before it falls, to help the building before it collapses, you will be called Fu Qing from now on, so that when others see our names, they will know that you are my sister, and no one will dare to bully you. It was as if a light broke through her dark world. It's just that nothing in this world is permanent, and no matter how dazzling the light is, it will eventually disappear. Ching Ching. Someone called her from behind. Sci-fi came to his senses, stood up, and turned around, "Uncle. I put all the gold and ores in your yard." Yin Yeonian shook his head and laughed. Fred's sudden visit shocked me. I didn't expect that. He just wanted to send an apology. Sci-fi blinked, "Uncle Fred is quite kind." After recalling the Lotbar family's gangster style, Yin Yeonian fell silent. Fred's kindness should depend on the person. The next day. Light crew. After more than a month of filming, half of the plot has been filmed, and more actors have joined the cast one after another. Among them, the most popular actor is Field Sanders, the best actor in the film. He plays a supporting character who only appears for 3 minutes, but this is Chu Lingyun's movie, and he is willing to play a supporting role. "Hello, Miss S.I." Field said with a graceful demeanor and his eyes full of amazement, "I've heard of your name for a long time, why don't I meet you today?" With a look that unifies Chinese and Western aesthetics, the photos are enough to make people reluctant to look away. The impact will only be greater after seeing the real person. "Hello." Sci-fi nodded slightly, shook hands with him politely, and went to read the script. Field wanted to find something to talk about, but never found an opportunity. At the end of today's filming, he extended an invitation to Sci-fi. "Sorry." Sci-fi still politely refused, "My family doesn't allow me to go back too late." She grabbed Xiaobai, stuffed it into her bag, and got into the nanny car. It was already 10 o'clock in the evening when we returned to the villa. Yu Zian was not here today because he had to deal with official business. "Ching Ching, it's time to open for business." Before leaving, Sang Yanking said earnestly, don't forget to post some daily Weibo posts, don't just forward the promotion of the TV series, otherwise your fans will ask you below the studio if you are out of the circle. Si fucking. Her fans are really worrying about her all day long. But posting on Weibo every day is really difficult for her. What should she post? Si fucking looked at the sky and fell into deep thought. The wind blew and the clouds moved, the thick fog dispersed, and the moon climbed onto the branches. Her foxy eyes lit up. What a coincidence. Si fucking took out his mobile phone and took a few photos of the night sky. Then she asked Xiaobai to take a picture of her back under the moon with her mobile phone in her mouth. Then she edited the picture and sent the accompanying text. At Si fucking, the moonlight is so beautiful tonight. Misappropriating what Yu Zion said, this completes the daily Weibo update task. She is such a little genius. Si fucking put down her cell phone and carried Xiaobai into the bathroom. Xiaobai screamed ouch and splashed in the water. Rebellious girl, be honest, Si fucking held it down, if you don't take a shower, you won't be able to eat the gold bars. Are you really treating yourself like a dog? Xiaobai could only accept the ruthless torture from the dog owner. After taking a bath, it couldn't wait to roll on the dry towel a few times and rushed out immediately. By the time Si fucking finished washing and came out, it was already 11 o'clock in the night. She picked up her phone and there were several missed calls on it. There are Sang Yanking, Yu Tang, and several other friends. Si fucking raised an eyebrow. Just at this moment, Yu Tang made another call. Tang Tang, what's wrong with calling so late? Si fucking asked lazily, are you still used to studying and living at Itno University? Is Lu Xingheng still there? Ching Ching Yu Tang did not answer these questions. She looked serious and said slowly, your Weibo exploded, and so did the hot searches. Si fucking paused, huh? What did she do? Yu Tang coughed twice, Ching Ching, you'd better see for yourself. Si fucking clicked on Weibo. Because there were so many messages, my phone was stuck. After entering within a few seconds, her name appeared in the hot search column, followed by a buzzword. The Weibo post she posted an hour ago has exceeded 1 million retweets and 2 million comments. This is the first time for fucking, the data link secretary, to see him like this. High praise comments are like this. Wife, I love you too. Woo-oh, King Bayo, tell me honestly who you love, otherwise why would you suddenly realize that the moonlight tonight is so beautiful? I don't believe this is your whim. Mew-si, my wife has a dog outside. The biggest assist in this chapter, the moose. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 631. Let me see which stupid moose is still not aware that the moonlight is so beautiful tonight is an implicit way of saying I love you, hurry up, let's go, forced to ask if this woman is carrying someone behind our back. Wow, I cried, I was still preparing a birthday present for my wife this year, and she was just kidnapped. Who is it? Who is the big rival in love? Let's take 2 steps and let us see. Don't get excited, maybe my wife really just thinks the moonlight is beautiful today. Impossible, she is a person who can play a set of Tai Chi under the moonlight and can't say such things. Smile. The mooses really didn't care whether Si fucking was in a relationship. It's just that they racked their brains and couldn't think of anyone who could compete with her. Someone made a list of all the opposite sexes that Si fucking had contact with. In the end, it was found that Mo Yanwen, the head of the Mo family, was originally a good fit for this candidate, but during the road show of the Lady of the Country, Mo Yanwen's attitude towards Si fucking was obviously respectful. Suddenly there was a deadlock. The time for marketing accounts to rush to performance has also come, and they have started to post Weibo that Si fucking is already in love. Si fucking fell into a long silence. Her hands trembled slightly. Ching Ching. Ching Ching, Yu Tang called a few more times on the other end of the phone. Are you still there? Sci-Fu heard his own voice floating. Tang Tang, if someone says this to you, does he like you? Yu Tang suddenly became vigilant. Who said that? Sci was silent again. She and Yu Tang were sisters at first, but their generations were about to change. Ching ching, no one would say this for no reason, it must be against you. Yu Tang gritted her teeth. Tell me who said it, do you like him? She then asked her ninth uncle to cut this man down. Sci's fox eyes blinked. I see, thank you Tang Tang. Yu Tang. She hasn't said anything, the phone has been hung up. Just as Sci pressed a string of phone numbers that he had memorized for a long time, Sang Yanking's phone number came in first. She calmed down her violent heartbeat and picked it up. Sister Sang. Ching ching, are you going to make it public with Mr. Yu? Sang Yanking was obviously excited. When? How are you going to make it public? Sci paused, and said politely, Sister Sang, can't you rest? I have to prepare in advance. Sang Yanking was eager to try. Hurry up, give me some time, this kind of thing can't be exposed by the paparazzi first. In just 2 hours, the small composition posted by the marketing account on Weibo has been derived to Sci's hidden marriage last year. Sci was expressionless. What with what? Sci ruthlessly rejected Sang Yanking. After the call ended, she stared at the string of numbers for a long time, and then went to Yu Jian first, third senior sister. What's the matter, Xiaoju? There was a loud noise from Yu Jian, apparently at the bar. Sci took a few breaths slowly, and said in a low voice, I'm turning my hand. Yu Ejian raised her eyebrows, thinking that the day had finally come. She asked, how did you kidnap? Sci recounted what happened in the past 2 days. Third senior sister, you have rich experience, is this a kidnapping? Yu Jian raised her eyebrows even higher. Xiaoju, the third sister taught you a trick. If he comes back from work tomorrow, the first thing he will do is to find you, and you will be kidnapped. The enemy doesn't move, I don't move, understand? Sci snorted, I understand a little bit, then what if he runs away? Yu Jian said slowly, tie it back directly. Sci. She deeply suspects that her third senior sister and the master of the Ghost Valley are the master and apprentice. Look at this rough style. Sci held his chin, clicked on Yu Xian's avatar, and began to look through all the chat records. The joy and throbbing in my heart filled my whole heart at this moment. Holding her phone, she fell asleep unconsciously. Xiaobai glanced at the owner of the house who was very sleepy. It slowly raised its legs and jumped onto the bed, struggling to pull the quilt over with its small claws and cover it with Sci. Ugh. Xiaobai let out a sigh of relief. The dog owner is so big, it is still very worrying. But it also knew that Sci was well protected by Ye Turning, and she would have shown childishness to those close to her. Finally someone can get used to her again. Xiaobai stretched a little, curled up too, and slept aside. The other side. At 4 in the morning, Yu Xian had just dealt with an emergency. There was still a bit of fatigue between his brows and eyes, but the breath around him was still sharp. He got down on the chair, leaned back, put his head on his hands, and closed his eyes to rest. Ninth brother, at this moment, Kenyan rushed in, stammering, your relationship with Miss Si has been exposed. As soon as he finished speaking, he wanted to slap himself. There is no love yet, where did the love come from? Yu Xian opened her eyes suddenly, and her eyes sharpened at this moment. Huh. Feng San, who ran in behind, stepped forward with his mobile phone. Ninth brother, look. This must be Miss C's confession to you. At this time, Sci's Weibo comment has exceeded 4 million, directly breaking the platform's record. Not only the mooses, but other netizens are also guessing. After all, According to Sci-Fi's temperament, if it is false, he has already come out to refute the rumor. Uzian's eyebrows stretched out. He logged into his account and left a comment below. The wind is also very gentle. The moonlight is beautiful tonight, I like you. The wind is also very gentle, I like you too. But there were too many mooses who left these words, and Uzian's comment was submerged in tens of thousands of comments. Feng San said cautiously, "Ninth brother, now, do you want to call Miss Si? She's tired from filming recently, and she's almost sleepy at this time." When Uzian looked up, her expression became calm and her tone was cool. "No need to rest, everything will be settled before 12 o'clock tomorrow." Feng San. He never expected this to happen. He had to go out with the canyoning in dismay and start the next round of work. The next day, Si arrived at the crew at 7 o'clock. She has always been one pass, but Chu Lingyun has strict requirements, and each shot has to be shot 3 times to choose the best one. But today, Si made a mistake and has already NG twice. Chu Lingyun called Ka again and looked at her strangely. "What's the matter with you? It's not your style to be distracted." After a pause, he suddenly jumped up in shock. You won't really fall in love, will you? Just a little while yesterday." Si pinched his face and muttered, "Is it that obvious?" "Isn't it obvious?" Chu Lingyun said angrily. "You have love in your eyes, you can't hide it at all." Then he saw Si take out a pair of sunglasses and put them on. Chu Lingyun is very tired, but he can understand. "You calm down first, I will take other people's shots first." "Okay." Si moved his wrist. "Give me a few minutes. Men must not affect her career." 10 minutes later, Si returned to battle. This time, Chu Lingyun was very satisfied. "It's noon, everyone rests, we will start at 2 o'clock. Si took the water from Sang Yanking and filled a bottle. She held her chin and began to wander again. Sang Yanking sighed. Chu Lingyun was right, there was love in this girl's eyes. Field is about to end his role and will be leaving Sijukan this weekend. Miss Si. He stepped forward and extended the invitation again. "Can I invite you to have dinner with me tonight?" When he said this, Field looked at the girl frequently. "I have to admit that Si is more beautiful than any star he has ever seen. She also has a unique temperament that attracts people to keep approaching." Si returned to God. "Huh." Field smiled. "Miss Si, I want to invite you dash." His words were interrupted by 2 words. "Tilt." The tone is not high, but it is very powerful. Si was startled and turned his head. He saw Uzian standing under the tree, dressed in a dark gray suit and meticulously, with a perfect figure. His eyes seemed to be much darker at this moment, his emotions were difficult to discern, and he looked down at her whole body. "It was only one day that we hadn't seen each other, but it seemed like a few springs and autumns had passed." She looked at him and squeezed the Coke can in her hand, not moving for the first time. Thump, thump, thump. The heartbeat expanded at this moment. He had already walked up to her. Then, he bent down and lowered his head. The next moment, a cool breath fell on her face. Si eyelashes trembled. He gently rubbed the tip of her nose with the tip of his nose, very gently, like a breeze kissing running water, making waves slightly. The distance between the two was also very close before, but they had never acted so intimately. It's hard to imagine such a lonely man doing such a thing. For the first time, Si thoughts fell into a blank space, and fireworks kept exploding in his mind. She saw herself in his eyes. It was as if the wind had blown away the cloud, and the moon behind the cloud was exposed, and all thoughts were at a glance. His voice was still cold, with a faint smile. "Have you waited for a long time? The world stands still at this moment." Si forced herself to return to her senses, and she looked away. "No, just finished filming." Well, Uzian said, I just arrived too. He took her hand calmly, it's noon, let's go eat. Soft to the touch of the skin. Obviously the body temperature of both of them was normal, but Si fucking could only feel her palms getting hot, and even her whole body seemed to be wrapped in fire. She followed him into the car. Boom. The door is closed. The space seemed cramped and narrow, but the moonlight cinnamon that belonged to him clearly wrapped her at this moment. Si fucking raised his head, He raised his hand and covered her lips with a smile. Uzian, Zi Shiyan, hates rainy days, the person I like the most is you, what else do you want to know? Officially confessed, I carry the banner for His Majesty. Wow, at the end of the month, the baby with the monthly pass will give your Majesty a wave. You one vote, I one vote, your Majesty's revolution is successful ovo.